Hi everybody, and welcome to 5 Reasons that Embroiderers Need to Think Outside of the Hoop. I'm Courtney Gibitza with Stahls TV, and today we're going to be talking all about 5 main reasons that heat printing lend to the perfect investment for an embroidery business and how it can really help you maximize your business and improve it and really quit turning away jobs. And so specifically, we're going to look at the challenges that you have with embroidery and how heat printing will help to solve those. And in doing that, we're going to be thinking outside of the box, or in the way the title describes, outside of the hoop. And to think outside of a hoop, you really have to, or outside of a box, you have to think creatively. And we hear the term all the time in business where they say, think outside the box when they're looking at a concept. And what does that really mean, to think outside the box? When I think about it, I think to think creatively at a situation or to think outside the box, I always think, what is my biggest challenge, or what issue am I looking to solve? And that's the first step, is seeing what issues do we have, what challenges do we have as businesses, and then looking at different ways to creatively solve that challenge. And that's what we're going to do here today. Now, before we get started, what I want to do is I want to know what your top challenges are in your embroidery business. So if you're joining us today on Facebook Live, go ahead and type those in. What exactly are your biggest challenges with your embroidery business? If you're on GoToWebinar with us, you can type those into the chat questions and Jimmy can relay those out to me now. And when you think about the challenges that you have in your business, it may be related to something as simple as pricing a job, or it may have challenges with just taking certain orders from customers. So really think about that. Go ahead and type those in now. I'll give you a few minutes to type those in as we frame the day. Jimmy, have we got any responses coming in on the GoToWebinar client?
We do have a few, Courtney. The first one being pricing, working with customers that want lower prices.
Okay, so great. So we'll talk a lot today about how we can overcome pricing. Anyone else on the GoToWebinar client?
Another one we have printing large designs cost effectively.
Okay, so printing large designs cost effectively. I assume that has things to do with maybe certain garment types, certain design types. We're going to look today at a lot of large designs. So those are 2 really good reasons to and have some challenges with your business there with embroidery. And so today specifically what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the top 5 challenges that we have found embroiderers have in their business. 2 of those are part of them. And then we'll go ahead and provide some solutions so that you can become more competitive in your business, quit turning away jobs, and ultimately become more profitable in your business. And that's really the goal of what all of us want to do in our embroidery and heat printing businesses. So the first challenge that we're going to look at today really dives into print technology and a challenge there. So if you're offering just strictly embroidery, and today in this presentation, if you don't own a heat press yet, I think you'll find why so many embroiderers do invest in this technology, and you'll get to see ways to expand your business. And then also, if you're have a heat press, you're going to get to see new ways to use it as well. And so the first way we want to talk about is being able to have the ability to offer additional print technologies. So if you own an embroidery business and that's all that you offer as a technology standpoint, then your challenge is really, how do you offer other prints? And a lot of people tend to go towards screen printing. It's the second most widely used technology in addition to embroidery, and so it lends really well to pair the 2 together. It also allows you to print a lot of different items and a lot of jobs that you're not able to do with embroidery. And so when you think about diving into screen printing for your embroidery business, one of the big challenges tends to be having the ability to do that cost effectively. So a lot of apparel decorators, and I hear it a lot, I visit a lot of trade shows and I talk to a lot of decorators, and the number one thing that I always hear is, I want to get into screen printing equipment, but I don't really have the money just yet. And so you don't have to invest in tens of thousands of dollars in screen printing equipment, training, technology, space to be able to do that. With nothing else but the heat press, it's going to give you the ability to do screen printing in-house with a very small space and very limited investment. So I'm going to head over to the heat press and we'll talk a little bit about how you can specifically do that. So when we look at screen printing with the heat press, the way that it's done is it's done with a plastisol transfer. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this as an example. Plastisol transfers or screen printed transfers are basically just plastisol ink that is printed down on a release paper and then is heat applied to a garment. And when you heat apply it, that is basically creating your cured screen print on the item. And so it makes a really easy way to get screen prints down on garments. And I'll show you how quick and effective it can be. Now for this presentation, I'm going to be using the Stahls Hotronix Fusion Heat Press. This heat press is a swing and draw press. We use it often on Facebook Live and in our Stahls TV presentations, mainly for its versatility and what you can print with the heat press. You will notice, although this does swing and draw out in its application, it takes a limited amount of space within your shop. So you aren't investing in a lot of space or real estate from your machine. If you're doing your embroidery from your house, you're still able to do this in that small space as well. So I'm going to go ahead and load my shirt onto my heat press platen. For any heat press application, you'll simply load your shirt, preheat to remove any of the moisture and wrinkles, and then you can align your transfer. So that helps to prep the garment really for the application. Now with the screen printed transfer, this one specifically is going to be for an event. And so when we think about really expanding the embroidery business and thinking outside of the hoop, I want to expand to more markets, and I'm going to show you shortly how you can easily create artwork for screen printing with these markets. So I'm aligning a goof-proof heat transfer from Transfer Express down on the garment. I'm just going to apply it actually at 10 seconds, or for 10 seconds at 340 degrees. If you're going for a higher temperature, you could actually press this for as low as 4 seconds at 365 degrees. Once the application is complete, I'll peel back that carrier. And then I've reached a new market that I may not have been able to reach with a simple t-shirt investment, screen printed with a one-color screen print for a fundraiser or an event. So that's another great market opportunity there. And you can see how fast and easy it is to really print with screen printed transfers. Now this is just a single color screen print. Again, new opportunity, new fast and easy way to do this with a very simple process. I'm going to print one more shirt with a 2-color transfer and talk a little bit about those applications. So again, I'm just going to load on this cotton t-shirt with the and then I'll be applying another goof-proof heat transfer paper. Preheat the garment to remove some of the moisture and wrinkles. I do need to go ahead and isolate my transfer. So you'll notice one thing about this transfer sheet is the transfers that we ordered from Transfer Express allow me to gang together multiple images. Of course, this isn't my full t-shirt design like you saw in that first transfer. But using an 11 by 14 inch sheet, I can now print multiple transfer sheets for different markets. And so I'll just go ahead and tear off this to separate them. Of course, if you're doing this in your shop, I would recommend going ahead and making sure you have some scissors handy. I don't see them nearby, so I'll go ahead and just tear this off. Going to align my transfer up here. And then I'm going to press that for that same application and temperature. And so this is going to be an example of a multicolor transfer or multicolor screen print on a t-shirt. So again, multiple colors, also very easy to do, and this is another great example. And so I know a lot of embroiderers that work with local businesses, restaurants, breweries, local shops, and they're not always wanting something that can be direct embroidered. Maybe they want to have the opportunity to resell apparel in their shop and being able to maybe profit themselves. So let's say I approach a restaurant or a local business, I offer to print all of their t-shirts with screen printed ink, and then go ahead and allow them to resell them. And so that's another big profit opportunity, is being able to connect with businesses in your area and making a profitable opportunity for them that also is profitable for you. And screen printed transfers are a great way to do that in your embroidery business. Looks like I have a question, Jimmy, coming in from GoToWebinar.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom asked, whenever creating the screen printed transfers, are the costs about the same as actual screen printing?
That's a great question. So does screen printed transfers and the cost of direct screen printing directly relate? There is an additional cost to screen printed transfers versus a direct screen print, simply because you're adding additional cost of the paper into it, but what you're getting in advance is you're not investing in the tens of thousands of dollars of equipment. You're basically just ordering transfers. So the cost of the transfer per the cost of a direct print is going to be a little bit higher when you're looking at it from I can screen print it myself versus ordering transfers and printing it with a heat press. But again, you're not having to do that investment early on to be able to get that cost savings. So great question there. Okay, so that talks a little bit about screen printing specifically and how it can benefit you. One thing about screen printing that you've probably noticed is the ability to easily print items with your heat press and the speed of it. So you saw the application that I did was as quick as 10 seconds, as low as 4 seconds actually you can go for some of the screen printed transfers. And so throughput is a really big thing with heat printing. I'm just going to go ahead and adjust my temperature down for some more applications here in a bit. But when you talk about throughput for a embroidery business, the sew time of an embroidery machine can be very challenging. And so when I'm printing something with my heat press, this is really a way to do more with what you have, so doing more with less. So rather than going ahead and just using my embroidery machine, I can set up my embroidery shop to have my heat press on a table that is near the embroidery machine, so I can run the embroidery jobs, maybe fix a thread break, and be able to assist in any way that machine's needed during that embroidery process. But I can also use that same operator to quickly load shirts on, press with a fast 4-second application. The fusion that I'm using here, you'll notice, was a manual open, but you could even invest in a auto open heat press, like a clam style auto open heat press, where if the operator locks it down, walks away, walks back to the embroidery machine, it's not going to ruin the garment, and now you've been able to really maximize their downtime at the embroidery machine by having that heat press there and available. And so the throughput, really the way to maximize the free time is a big benefit, but throughput is impressive as well. You can print, we've worked with embroiderers in the past. I know I have a shop that I've worked with that does a lot of direct embroidery monograms, and they decided to invest in heat transfer vinyl monogramming on some of the items that they printed. And they found through a 40-hour work week, they were able to really maximize their production and print 480 items with their heat press and their heat transfers versus 180 items on the embroidery machine. And so it really speaks to the volume on what you can do is throughput and a way to profit more with the time that you have. And so just thinking outside the hoop or outside of the box in that way is a really great benefit. One of the questions I had on Facebook Live, I can see, Dominique, is can the transfers be created in your shop? So the screen printed transfers, while they can be, you can create screen printed transfers in your shop. We don't sell the paper through Stahls, and it does tend to be a little bit more of a technical knowledge. Now, if you plan to do a lot of them, you could invest some time on learning how to do that. It is possible. So I appreciate that question coming in there. Now, the second challenge I should say that we're going to look at, the first one was having the ability to screen print and really improve throughput in my shop and being able to do more with less of my time. The second challenge is going to be how to print some of today's top fabric types, maybe synthetic fabrics, performance wear, tri-blend, some of the really thin, silky, soft garments, or just unique items in general that are very difficult to embroider. Now, while you can print performance wear tri-blends, which actually today are some of the most popular apparel items on the market, we're looking at items that are without a doubt the highest margin opportunity for blank apparel because they tend to lend what we're seeing in the retail outlets. It's the way the markets are moving. So if you're decorating for spirit wear or schools, it's one of the ways that they're starting to want to see some of those soft, lightweight garments there. If you're decorating for corporate apparel, we're even seeing a lot of performance fabrics coming into polo shirts, zip-up jackets. And while they can certainly be embroidered, it does usually take a little bit of training and knowledge. And from the embroidery shops that I've worked with in the past, I know it's a little bit of a challenge. And so what heat printing lends is an easy way to print these fabrics with heat transfers that are designed for printing them. And so you don't have to really go outside of the realm to really do a lot of training. It's a very simple, easy process. All you need to do is choose the right heat transfer. So for those screen printed t-shirts that I had pressed a little bit earlier, these I was using the Goof Proof Transfer ink from Transfer Express. Now for my performance wear, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a separate type of ink called Elastiprint. And I'm going to be printing a zip-up jacket here that's going to be a little bit more challenging to decorate, but of course very possible with heat printing technology and the accessories that are available. And so what I want to do is I want to just put a left chest logo down on this quarter zip jacket. Now to do this, I'm going to go ahead and remove this bottom platen on the heat press. The Hotronix Fusion, as well as all the Hotronix heat presses, have an interchangeable platen at the bottom that allows me to just undo a latch, and I can lift that out, so it's literally a 10-second change out of platens, and I can drop in a new size ready to print small print areas very fast and efficiently. So if I want to print, let's say, 100 of these jackets very quickly and easily, this platen allows me to do that. I don't have to mess around with any kind of fillers like a pad or a pillow that raises the print area. So a huge benefit if you have a press that allows you to do these interchangeable platens. Now you'll see when I load this on, the thick seams here, the zipper, all of that has fallen beneath the machine. I'm going to go ahead and preheat my garment, also double check my pressure to make sure I'm getting a firm pressure that is required for the transfer. And then as I mentioned, this transfer is going to be called the Elastiprint transfer. Luckily my friend here was able to get me some scissors so I can trim these apart. Again, you're seeing my use of gang sheets here. Not only was I using this same logo on the first one, but for this one I'm decorating for a school. So this W is going to go on this coach's jacket that I'm printing here. I have a full front design that's going to go on the front of my warm-up shirt. I have a back design, and I also have an additional placement that I could put maybe on the right hemline. So that's really the big benefit of screen printed transfers when we look at the cost of this versus direct transfer printing. I can maximize an 11-inch by 14-inch sheet and be able to put multiple pieces of art on there. This transfer is actually black and white. And so I can even gang together jobs for other customers if it's a white or black ink on this. So it allows you to really maximize your cost in that way. Now I'm going to go ahead and align my transfer here. The way I'm doing all of my applications, you're seeing me kind of eyeball the application for alignment. There are laser alignment tools that help to really speed up the process if you're worried about being able to make sure everything is in the right location. Now the Elastiprint transfer that I'm applying is going to apply at 300 degrees for 15 seconds and is a cold peel. So the temperature is significantly lower, the dwell time is a little bit higher. And I see a question there coming in on Facebook Live from Rick. He asked the best way to press performance shirts without getting a press mark. And so a press mark tends to be caused by a scorch mark. And so that lower temperature transfer like we had here on the Elastiprint is going to be the best solution for that. Anything that applies at 300 degrees and below will help to reduce the heat press mark, and that's why I went ahead and changed my transfer type. This one is a cold peel, so we'll go ahead and let it cool down. Once it's cool to the touch, I can peel that carrier back, and then you're seeing my print on the quarter zip performance wear jacket. So again, I use that low temperature transfer on there to help avoid or eliminate any kind of scorching on this performance quarter zip. So screen printed transfers, there's a solution for just about any fabric you can think of, from cottons to polyesters to tri-blends. But one of the big things about heat printing that I always think is the expandability, is how I say it, with being able to really expand beyond what you can do with a heat press. And a lot of that tends to go with heat transfer vinyl and vinyl cutter. So you're seeing here on the right hand side of my screen a vinyl cutter. Being able to have the technology to cut graphics in-house is another huge benefit. Now you're looking at an additional investment to do this in-house of a few $1,000 to $2,000 within the range of what you're looking for a vinyl cutter, but it does give you the ability to do a lot of custom graphic cutting in-house. Likewise with heat transfer vinyl that we're going to look at for these next applications, you could order transfers pre-cut, ready to apply, just like we had done with the screen printed transfers. And so for this application, what I'm going to be doing is looking at an opportunity with a volleyball shirt. And so this is going to be just a simple volleyball jersey that we'll be printing here. I'm going to go ahead and take out my 6x10 platen and drop in another size, which is called an 11x15. Because this high stretch performance fabric is very narrow, of course this is something that would be impossible to put a large number on the back with an embroidery shop. You could possibly do some applique, but again, it would be very challenging. It would add a lot of weight to this very high stretch garment for the volleyball team. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a name and number that has been cut on a vinyl cutter and a heat transfer vinyl. Just like with all the other applications, I want to go ahead and check my pressure and preheat this performance wear. When you dive into performance wear, I always recommend making sure that you do preheat the garment, because that will help to remove some of the moisture that tends to be in polyester fabrics. Go ahead and line this up, making sure my shirt is on straight with the platen. Once I have this name and number on the back, I can go ahead and apply for the full application. Now this transfer is premium plus, so we're going to apply it at 300 degrees for 8 to 10 seconds using a medium pressure. If you're new to heat printing, you're noticing that I'm using a lot of different applications, a lot of different temperatures. Each heat transfer type comes with its own recommended application. So if I need something low temperature, I want to look for a heat transfer that is recommended to apply at that temperature. All manufacturers will give you that information when you purchase the product, and it's also available on their website. Now this is a warm peel, so I'm just letting it cool a little bit and then I'm peeling it down. And that gives me a great way, and I'll go ahead and show you guys what you're seeing, the side cam here, on a nice stretchable way to print these performance fabrics. And so that's a big benefit of this specific heat transfer vinyl with Premium Plus, is when you start to move to some of these high stretch garments like this volleyball jersey, you're able to really get that stretch and rebound that's needed with the garment that can be very challenging with a direct embroidery or an applique. And so as the team uniform market continues to expand, and all markets really are starting to expand into these performance type fabrics, that is a great way to go ahead and offer numbering and solutions on the back of these uniforms. Now looking at the apparel market and the way it has increased in what they call athleisure, and so the way that businesses really want to, and people really want to adopt this athletic, comfortable lifestyle in the garments that they're choosing. And so we're going to start to see a lot of those quarter zips like we saw in corporate apparel. We're going to start to see a lot of different tri-blend, silky garments. The next garment that I'm going to be printing is actually just a tri-blend hooded sweatshirt that's going to be really popular styles for fall and for spirit wear, because it's got that nice soft garment. And so gone are the days of the 100% cotton 50-50 blends. Now we're starting to see a lot of these blends that are actually heat sensitive. So this one is district made, and it is 50% polyester, 25% cotton, and 25% rayon. And so when you add that high level of polyester and rayon into what looks like a cotton garment, it tends to be a little bit more heat sensitive. And so again, I'm going to choose that Premium Plus product that I had used for the volleyball jersey. I'm just going to load on my shirt. This is why that 11x15 is also a really perfect platen, because it works really well with ladies' garments. I'm going to preheat to remove some of the moisture and wrinkles. Align my Premium Plus transfer here, so you can see, since I cut this actually out on my vinyl cutter, I did create a custom graphic for a Raiders mom. This is a great opportunity to dive into personalization on some of these thin items that's really popular right now. I'm going to press it for, again, the 8 to 10 seconds at 300 degrees. And if you're not currently thinking about investing in technology for a vinyl cutter, what you can also do is order custom designs made from either Stahls using their CAD-CUT template designer, or you could send your artwork to them as well to be custom cut. And numbering is easy with pre-cut numbers as well. So I'm going to go ahead and give us a second to cool down. Continue to peel this back. And then we have a completed garment ready to go, personalized for this market. And so another opportunity, just thinking outside of the box, is being able to offer performance fabrics, tri-blends, customized, personalized items very inexpensively. And as you know, we'll talk a little bit more when we talk about challenges with pricing during today's class. Pricing is a concern. Not all jobs are profitable with embroidery. Sometimes customizing, depending on the size of the design or the garment or the budget for the customer, it's just not cost effective to do it with an embroidery machine. And heat transfer vinyl like this really lends well to that because it just gives you a low cost alternative. When I look at a design like this, where I'm looking at about 10 inches by 6 inches in design and a soft material like Premium Plus, I'm looking at about 75 cents in cost to cut this myself. So I'm able to really see a low cost of the actual transfer decoration that allows me to profit or be able to say yes to a job that I may in the past said, no, I just can't do it for the budget that you're looking for. And so that's another great alternative and a reason to invest in heat press technology and even vinyl cut technology if you want to do a lot of the customization in-house with fast and quick turn times. And turn times are another challenge that I hear from a lot of embroidery businesses, being able to say yes to jobs. When you have the ability to cut custom transfers in-house, it does give you the ability to do a fast turn time, especially with the quick application of the heat press or just having the ability to do another print technology in addition to embroidery. One other thing to keep in mind with screen printed transfers is just being able to choose a supplier that delivers fast shipping and production turn time, just like Transfer Express, where they offer a 2-day shipping offer. That again allows you to get the transfer fast and have a quick turnaround time so you don't have to continue to say no to jobs. And that's another big benefit of just ordering transfers. I don't have to produce the screens or I don't have to create the spend a lot of time creating the transfers myself. I can just simply order them, press the shirts, and send the job out the door. So some things to consider instead of saying no to jobs because of turn time issues or pricing or being able to worry about you not being able to produce fast enough. Heat printing provides solutions for all of those. And so those are two of the main challenges that I wanted to look at today. The third one that we're going to look at, another reason to step outside of the hoop, is to look at the artwork that you're creating or the artwork limitations that you have in your shop. One thing that I hear from a lot of decorators, and every print technology has a file type or a print type that works best, but when we start to look at some of these corporate logos or unique designs that have shading or gradients or very fine detail, that's a very challenging print to do with embroidery and a lot of other print technologies. Now with different heat transfer types, there are ways to say yes to these jobs and being able to produce graphics that have gradients, that have multiple colors, that have fine detail. And the first type I'm going to look at today is a digital transfer. And we're going to go ahead and apply this down to a backpack. And so we're looking again at another high margin item with this OGO backpack from CNMAR. Now this bag, specifically what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a transfer that if a customer came to you and they wanted their logo printed on an item. It could be a bag, could be a jacket, could be a t-shirt. But a logo like this would have a lot of gradients, a lot of shading, maybe even a little bit of detail in through that, and having the ability to print that and say, yes, I can absolutely do that without saying, oh, I could do something close to that, but it's going to just be all red. You'll kind of lose this gradient. Customers really value the integrity of their brand and that you value that and you're able to say, yes, and I can keep your logo exactly the way that you want it. There's a big benefit in that. Now I'm going to show you how to heat press a bag very easily using the heat press like this and a few accessories. Again, I'm going to go ahead and change out that interchangeable platen from the 11 by 15 down to a 6 by 10. Since the bottom of this Fusion heat press, you'll notice is completely open, it allows me the ability to really maximize what I can print, and that's one of the reasons that I use this heat press a lot in the demonstrations for Stahls TV. So I'm going to go ahead and slide in my bag here, load on my bag, and then what I want to do is you're going to notice these thick seams, also some seams in the back here. I want to isolate that from my print location. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and insert what's called a Print Perfect pad. So that's just going to drop right down into the center of the bag here, making sure it's all in the right spacing. Again, I want to make sure all of this ribbing is off from that pad as I'm pressing down on it, so I'm getting a good, accurate pressure. Also making sure the pad is up on that platen. So pairing together the smaller 6x10 platen allows me to thread it through that pocket. Adding that extra little print perfect pad helps to raise that print area, so it's really getting a lot of the bulk out of the way of the heat press. Next, I'm just going to align this transfer up with the bag, making sure it's center with the bottom part of the design. Also checking to make sure that my transfer is on all areas of that print perfect pad. This transfer type specifically is called SuperTech. So the SuperTech opaque ink not only allows me to do color gradients and shading like this, but it also allows me the ability to print on just about any fabric type. So cottons, polyesters, leathers, different synthetics. I did adjust my pressure there that you saw a little bit. I should have probably checked that before I locked it down. I want to make sure that I'm not getting too much pressure down on this item, and adding that print perfect pad does add the pressure. So I applied that at 300 degrees for only 5 seconds. I'm going to peel that carrier back, and then I'll reseal it with another 5-second application. So it allows me to get a nice print on the bag there. You'll notice the 300 application. This transfer can actually go down as low as 280 degrees. So I'm able to apply it to a lot of these synthetic garments that we're worried about printing in a lot of our shops. And so you don't have to be afraid to take an expensive backpack like this and heat apply it. You can see how it was successfully done here. Catch that on my latch. To be able to really complement this design. And so it looks really great. I'm able to say, yes, I can absolutely do your logo with the gradients, and I can apply this to practically anything. So t-shirts, jackets, bags, all of that are opportunities when you start to invest in this technology. Now, to do full color transfers like this was actually ordered as a transfer type called a CAD print. So I would simply take my full color artwork, I would send it to Stahls, they would print the logo out for me, and all I need to do is heat press it on. If you find yourself getting a lot of requests for full color logos like these, or ones that have gradients and shading, you could decide to invest in technology that prints these transfers. They would call them a solvent or eco-solvent printer, or a print and cut system. We have a ton of videos on Stahls TV that show you a lot about those. They look to range somewhere between $8,000 to $16,000 as an entry point, allow you to do a lot of other things like decals, wall graphics, banners, all kinds of good stuff like that, but also gives you the ability to do that in-house if you want to start doing it yourself. But you really don't have to. If you want to just do transfers, all you really need is the heat press, and you can have them printed for you. So great things to think about there. So far, if you're sticking with us on the 5 reasons you need to think outside the hoop, we have looked today at having the ability to offer screen printing and improve our throughput in our shop. We've looked at the ability to print some of today's high margin, high profitable opportunities with performance wear and tri-blends. And we've looked at solutions for being able to do multiple pieces of artwork that provide detail, gradients, and all that good stuff. So those are the first 3 that we're going to look at. The 4th reason that I want to talk about how to stick outside the hoop is to really think about going big and being able to do more with your embroidery business. So being able to do more in the effects that you're offering, being able to do more in the size of graphics that you're offering, just being able to really think about taking a customer's logo or a design and doing more than just your standard embroidery, whether it's direct embroidery or other applications. So the first application I want to show is just being able to use something as simple as a special effect on an oversized shirt. This is a large, big graphic that can easily be printed with your heat press, and being able to add some customization there. I'm going to take out my 6x10 platen, drop back in a 16x20, and I'm going to load on my shirt. And so being able to do a large print location, if you've never seen these shirts, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be placing a print location on the back of a shirt like this. It's going to go widely, completely across the shoulder to shoulder. It's going to be about 24 inches in length. So to embroider something like this can be very challenging because of hoop limitations. With a heat press, you can start to print large applications like this, oversized shirts, large tablecloths for businesses. All of that can be done using this exact same process that you're going to see for the oversized shirt. So I'm going to load my shirt on, and I'm just going to preheat my full print location in between those 2 shoulders. This also gives me a chance to adjust my pressure so I know that I'm getting a good durable print when I press this down. All right, so we've got a nice preheat on that side. Again, I'm going to slide this over and just preheat the other side. Often when you're personalizing items, you're going to be printing the front and the back for a lot of applications. And so I went ahead and cut my design in that manner. So I've got the full back design here, and I've even got a little front if I want to add some personalization. Again, this logo was completely done by the vinyl cutter. So if I wanted to do this in-house, I would want to purchase a vinyl cutter. I could also order custom transfers as well. I'm on the search for these scissors I had a little bit earlier. There they are. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take this transfer again. Cut on a vinyl cutter or custom transfers ordered. The product is called CAD Cut Glitter Flake. And so it allows me to get that sparkle finish that's really popular for a lot of markets just in a heat transfer application. Go ahead and peel back that carrier there that I used just to prep the design. Now to find the center of my transfer, what I'm going to do is just fold this in half and crease my transfer and align it with the center of the shirt. Glitter Flake does have a little bit of a sticky backing, so I'm able to press that down and it'll help to stay in place for my application while I slide this shirt over and heat apply the back design at 300 degrees for 10 seconds. So again, we're looking at a lot of these heat transfers that have really low temperatures. So it's a big benefit for a lot of these heat-sensitive fabrics that are popular in today's market. So I went ahead and pressed that side. I'm going to slide this over and just heat apply the other side. Like I said, this two-step application you can do on oversized jerseys, on large pant designs, on tablecloths. You're really able to expand what you can do with these applications. So just another 10 seconds on the other side at 300 degrees. And then once that's complete, Glitter Flake is a hot or cold peel, so I can immediately peel back my carrier. If it was completely cold peel, I'd want to make sure to let everything cool down completely. But that gives me a nice full-size print on the back of that shirt there, so I'm able to get a really profitable opportunity, being able to take a logo or take a design and make it stand out more with glitter, being able to take special effects and really maximize not only my time at the heat press, but being able to profit more because I'm offering these opportunities. The businesses that I've worked with that are embroiderers, just standard heat printers, screen printers, the ones that have the ability to offer special effects and do so and market them that way tend to be more successful. Being able to say yes to these types of jobs, being able to offer upgrades, to sell an item for a higher price. We're going to talk in pricing a little bit about a good, better, best theory. If you can offer a glitter option as a better or a best option, you tend to see that when you present products in a way that you're providing your customers with 3 options or 3 solutions, it allows them to tend to want the one that is more profitable for you and that is a higher price because they're seeing the best of what they can have, and it just tends to work that way. It also allows you to reach your customers in a unique way, like we'll talk about, in a solution that works best for them. Another thing to think about when we're going big or going home with design ideas is just having the ability to do patterns. And so being able to print and customize designs with patterns here, that's another opportunity that we have with heat printing. One other thing to think about that I want to show you guys real quick is when you looked at the glitter application that we had and we talk about things and reasons to go big or go home. Taking that same glitter and being able to do large designs with applique. Heat printing with applique allows you, and applique in general with your embroidery machine, allows you to use that machine to produce more garments per hour, to do more throughput, and cut down your costs with the stitch count because you're being able to do a lot of the fill as applique. Now the vinyl cutter, if you purchase one of those and decide to do it in-house, even gives you the ability to cut your own applique. The rip-away applique that we have here, the way this process works is that you basically, I'm going to have kind of a breakdown of it here on this design. You can see what the first step is I would sew out a placement stitch on my embroidery machine. I would take a sheet of that CAD cut glitter material that I had used on the back of that oversized jersey before I cut it out on the vinyl cutter. I would place the raw material across the sew area and begin sewing out a satin stitch. Once that's done, you just kind of tear away the excess material around the lettering that you don't want. Take it over to your heat press and you can heat apply it down. So this starts to show you some of the different finishes that you can do. So glitter is one of the big opportunities there, being able to do that with spirit wear, dance squads, even just taking corporate designs to a new level. Reflective is another opportunity when we start to think outside of the hoop that we can leverage with that technology. I can go ahead and do a full back design embroidered with reflective applique by using the rip away applique process. This uses 3M reflective. Again, I just run a placement stitch, lay my sheet of reflective over top, sew out a satin stitch, which essentially cuts the material there, and then I tear away the excess and heat apply it so it's durable. Also, I can do this as a heat press application on the front of my shirt, so if I want to be able to add some personalization there, I can do that easily with just simple transfers or cutting them on a vinyl cutter in my shop. And so we're seeing a lot of opportunities there for expanding and going big. So really just thinking, how can I take my business to a new level? These are just two of the finishes that you can offer. You can do so much with foils and patterns and different opportunities in your shop when you really start to think about ways to expand and really think outside of the standard embroidery. Especially with glitters, when you think about metallic threads are very popular, but they tend to be very difficult to work with because there's a lot of breakage that happens without them, so it takes a lot of time on your machine. Being able to still give that bling factor in a glitter is just a really huge benefit there. So that's a couple of the opportunities. I'm going to head back over to the table to talk a little bit about the final challenge that we have and we work with being able to think outside of the hoop. And so the last challenge, and we heard it actually this morning whenever I had asked you guys to think about the challenges that you have in your business. This is a challenge for all decorators, whether you're an embroiderer, whether you're a heat printer, whether you're a screen printer, however you identify your business. It's pricing. And the biggest challenge really is being able to compete on pricing without having to really take your pricing down lower. And so I hear it a lot from shops, is that you know your cost to produce, you know the selling price that you want to be at, but you tend to move it down and cut your margins because you want to either not risk, or you don't want to risk losing a job, or you have price-conscious customers that you want to make sure to be able to still serve them. You want to make sure that you're doing whatever is profitable for your business. And so if a job is not profitable because they want a lower price, then you have to be able to, first off, have the strength and desire to be able to say no. I know a lot of people are afraid to do that, but again, we want to look at things that are profitable. We want to find a way to make them profitable. So some suggestions for that is to offer heat transfer technology next to your embroidery. And so this here is actually just a CAD cut flock design on a polo shirt. And so this again is another really highly, has a nice soft raised feel to it. So it does give a very professional, high quality look. The cost of something like this is going to be more like 60 to 80 cents versus what it would cost for a direct embroidery, which may be more around $3. And so having the ability to offer this and be able to win a job by presenting it correctly. And so when I say presenting it correctly, what I recommend doing is I would recommend when you have customers that come in your shops that are price conscious, you present the products to them in a way that allows them to see what they get for their budget and what fits them best. So my good, better, best solution falls in here. My good option might just be a matte heat transfer vinyl like I have here on my shirt. And I'm saying this is the price for this on a 100% cotton pique polo. My better option may be here is a flock material on a pique polo, or maybe a nice performance quarter zip or a polo shirt that has a performance soft matte finish on it. And then my best solution may be my direct embroidered left chest logo that they wanted on the pique polo. Allowing them to say, okay, wow, this really fits my budget, or okay, we need something a little bit less expensive, so maybe we don't need embroidery. We were thinking maybe we wanted embroidery, but this looks just as good, and it allows you to be able to win jobs and still be able to maintain your embroidery pricing side by doing it that way. And so that's one of the big benefits that we have there when you're looking at pricing and everything like that. One other thing to consider is just offering multiple prices for the things that you offer. And so being able to offer pricing simply for these different solutions with you have a heat transfer vinyl price and you have an embroidery price. The two things stay completely separate of each other, and that allows you to being able to really keep the pricing whole without allowing a lot of room for negotiation and margin between you and your customers. And so having that additional solution allows you to do that. One other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about when we look at cost comparison and really profitability. So I talked a little bit earlier about an embroidery shop, and I wanted to kind of just talk a little bit about a cost comparison. So that same embroidery shop that was doing a lot of monogramming on bags, where I saw they were able to do 480 pieces with heat transfer vinyl versus 180 in the embroidery process, of being able to really do almost 4 times their output by adding heat transfer vinyl and offering that solution for a lot of their jobs. So being able to profit more with the time that they had available. When we look at the cost to produce things like that, we look at a monogram bag with heat transfer vinyl versus a monogram bag with embroidery. A glitter flake monogram on a bag is going to cost you 70 cents for that transfer. That same decoration in direct embroidery can cost you about $3.25. Here I'm looking at a circle monogram that they had done on their bags. And so that cost comparison, even in what you're able to do from a cost standpoint, you're saving yourself $2.50 on every one of those that you print. And the glitter really tends to still offer a high quality look, because it's still a really fashionable look, especially for monogramming. And so you're able to really compare that and sell that at the same price that you do for embroidery. So that's another great reason to keep your margins and really think outside of the hoop in that manner. The other thing I wanted to share is a little bit of information from a customer that we had worked with that does a lot of heat printing. And so if you haven't invested in heat press technology yet, but you're thinking about it to really expand your embroidery business, I want to talk a little bit about the profitability. And this story specifically comes from Nancy, who is a part of the Heat Press for Profit Facebook group, which is a Facebook group for heat printers that really want to be successful in their business and are looking for advice from other heat printers. And so on that Facebook group, she had shared an order she had done with 200 t-shirts that were screen printed with a one-color screen print using Transfer Express transfers. The total cost of shirts for that specific order was $1,289. The transfers cost her $287, and it took her about 3 hours to print all of those 200 shirts with those transfers. So this is where I was really speaking a lot about the throughput you can do on being able to produce 200 screen printed shirts in 3 hours with one employee using a heat press. And she estimated that to be about $33 in labor, so $11 per hour for her employee. That brought the total cost of the job to $1,609. She billed that customer for $3,021, so that brought her in a profit of over $1,400. A heat press, a nice 16 by 20 professional grade heat press, can range you anywhere from $1,600 to $2,200. So that order from that customer almost paid for her heat press. So one more small custom order really would allow her to profit in that way. And so just thinking that there's a lot of opportunities with performance fabrics, and that job, by the way, was a one-color screen print on a performance t-shirt. And so that's, again, talking about higher profitable items that she was able to do with the heat press technology, with a large full front design printed for an event, so a new market. So really thinking about what markets can I reach with this new technology, what types of finishes can I offer with this new technology, how can I make my designs or my job better. I think that you'll find as you start to think creatively and you start to think about ways to think outside of the hoop, you'll be more successful ultimately in your business. Now, before I head out today, I haven't seen any additional questions really coming in on Facebook Live. Jimmy, have I got any other questions coming in on GoToWebinar?
I think we're pretty well handled over here. I was on top of it most of the class.
Okay, great. So it looks like we've got most of the questions answered there. If you have additional questions, I encourage you to join the Heat Press for Profit Facebook group, learn a little bit about some of the people like Nancy that are able to be profitable with their heat press ventures. And I look forward to seeing you guys more successful in your embroidery business. Thanks for attending.